After awakening the Skysoar Realm, Ye Xuan finally takes his first step toward true sword flight. But while his strength rises, Cangmu Academy grows even more ruthless. Ambushes, assassins, and hidden schemes close in from every direction, forcing Ye Xuan and the students of Cangmu Academy into a battle they can no longer avoid. When Ye Lian is taken once again and thrown into a deadly secret realm, Ye Xuan knows it is a trap. But for his sister, even if the road ahead leads to death, he will still walk it with his sword in hand. Now let us follow the next developments in The First Sword God, Episode 17. Poor dirt poor, that was exactly how Ye Xuan felt right now. In Two Realm City, he had learned that even the cheapest spiritual weapon cost at least 2 million gold coins, and swords were even more expensive. Right now, he was so poor that he almost wanted to go rob someone. Before long, he arrived at Drunken Immortal Tower. After taking out his purple card, he was invited into a luxurious private room. An old man came out to receive him and bowed slightly. "Young Master Yi, what instructions do you have?" Ye Xuan took out 9 jade-grade spirit stones. "How much can these sell for, jade-grade spirit stones?" The old man was visibly shocked. There are not many of these in Ning Kingdom. After pondering for a moment, he offered a price. One piece is worth around 500,000 gold coins. 500,000, Ye Xuan thought for a while. So at most they are only worth 4.5 million gold coins. The old man nodded. Ye Xuan asked again, how much does it take to buy one spirit sword? The old man looked at him, at least 3 million. And even then, you may not be able to buy one. Ye Xuan could not help giving a bitter smile. Now he understood why sword cultivators were as rare as autumn leaves. The price one had to pay was simply not something ordinary people could bear. One spirit sword alone cost 3 million gold coins. That was an amount even some noble clans and major families might not be able to take out easily, let alone one individual. Moreover, sword cultivators did not only need swords. They also needed sword techniques. Added together, the cost was terrifying. Ye Xuan fell silent for a while, then took out a pile of spoils he had collected after killing people. There were quite a few things stacked together. Among them, the most valuable was naturally the spiritual fan he had just taken. The old man's gaze rested on the fan for a moment. "Young Master Yi, forgive me for speaking frankly. Only this fan is worth some money, the rest are not worth much," Ye Xuan nodded. "Can all of this buy 2 spirit swords?" The old man looked troubled at first but suddenly froze. He glanced outside the door, then looked back at Ye Xuan. "Young Master Yi wants 2 spirit swords." Seeing Ye Xuan nod, the old man smiled. "No problem. Young Master is our honored guest, we will think of a way. Please wait for a short while." After saying this, he collected the items Ye Xuan had brought out and left the private room. About half an hour later, the old man returned holding 2 black boxes. "Apologies for making young Master Yi wait." He placed the 2 boxes in front of Ye Xuan. "These are 2 spirit swords, please inspect them." Ye Xuan opened one of the boxes. Inside was a sword about 3 feet long and 2 fingers wide. Its blade was extremely sharp. Most importantly, it contained a trace of spirituality. It was indeed a spirit sword. There was no mistake. Ye Xuan closed the box and said to the old man, "The things I brought out should not be enough to buy these 2 swords." The old man only smiled. "Young Master Yi is an honored guest of our Drunken Immortal Tower. This small matter is something we can still offer." Ye Xuan thought for a moment, then nodded, then thank you. Since Drunken Immortal Tower had shown goodwill, he would not refuse it. Seeing that Ye Xuan did not decline, the smile on the old man's face became even brighter. "One more thing. Young Master, you must be careful of Cangmu Academy. According to what we know, they have already made up their minds to kill you. We have also investigated the matter of young Master's accident on the flying ship earlier. The culprit was them. They will definitely not give up. When young Master travels outside, you must be extremely cautious." Ye Xuan nodded. "Thank you for informing me. If your tower has any other information, please notify me. I will be extremely grateful." The old man smiled. "Of course, farewell." Ye Xuan cupped his fist, then left with the 2 swords. After he had gone far away, an old man in a black robe appeared inside the private room. This person was the 9th Tower Master of Drunken Immortal Tower. He looked in the direction Ye Xuan had left and said, "In the future, even if I am not in the imperial capital, do your best to help him. Pay close attention to Cangmu Academy. If they make any move, we can sell this young man a favor." The old man bowed, yes. The 9th Tower Master slowly closed his eyes. Cangmu Academy, keep seeking death. The moment Ye Xuan left Drunken Immortal Tower, he rushed back toward Cangmu Academy, 2 spirit swords. At his current realm, if he could absorb them, he had an 80% chance of reaching the Skysoar Realm. When that happened, not only would his overall strength improve in many ways, but he would also be able to try flying by controlling his sword. At that time, he had to fly a circle around the imperial capital and enjoy the wind. Thinking of this, the corner of Ye Xuan's mouth could not help rising, and his running speed unconsciously increased. When he passed through a small street, he suddenly stopped. The street was only about 10 zhang wide. Houses stood closely packed on both sides, but not a single person passed through. Something was wrong. Ye Xuan immediately retreated. He was confident, but he would not willingly jump headfirst into a trap laid openly before him. Just then, a sharp whistling sound came from behind him. Ye Xuan narrowed his eyes, turned around, and threw a punch. Boom, he retreated backward. With every step, the ground beneath his feet burst apart, leaving a small pit. Blood had already appeared on his fist. He raised his head and saw a young man standing nearby. This person was about 20 years old. His build was no less powerful than Bai Zs, and on his right hand he wore a thick black steel glove, a spiritual weapon. A strange expression flashed through Ye Xuan's eyes when he saw it. The fierce-faced young man revealed a savage smile. Ye Xuan was about to attack but suddenly turned around. Not far behind him stood 2 other men. One wore a long cloth robe and held a long spear with a dazzling sharp tip. The man on the right had short hair and held a crescent blade in his hand. The body of the blade was heavy and pitch black, while the edge was thin. 3 iron rings hung along the spine of the blade. All 3 of them were at the Skysoar Realm, no. More accurately, all of them had already reached half-step nether passage. The cloth-robed man holding the spear said, "We have seen you attack before. I did not expect Ning Kingdom to have such a monster besides National Scholar and..." He slowly walked toward Ye Xuan. "One-on-one we are not your match, so..." Ye Xuan did not wait for him to finish. He bent his legs, leapt forward, and appeared directly before the spear-wielding man. But his expression changed almost instantly. Like a flash of lightning, he rolled to the right. An arrow was lodged in his shoulder. Ye Xuan raised his head. On a distant rooftop stood a woman in tight black clothes. She held a longbow in her hand and a quiver of bronze arrows hung on her back. Not 3 people, 4. He glanced coldly at her, then snapped the arrow in his shoulder. A roar sounded behind him. The burly young man had already arrived, swinging his fist straight toward Ye Xuan's head. This punch was fierce as a tiger breaking loose from its cage, as if it wanted to devour him alive. Ye Xuan bared his teeth and answered with 1 punch breaks your head. The moment this punch came out, the ground beneath his feet exploded and the walls on both sides cracked apart. Fist met fist, boom. After the deafening blast, the burly young man's glove cracked. He himself was forced back several zhang, leaving deep pits beneath his feet. Looking at his trembling right arm, fear appeared in his eyes. He cultivated the body. Among people of the same realm, he rarely lost in terms of physical strength. But the person before him was a sword cultivator. Seeing that his punch had forced the opponent back, Ye Xuan rushed forward to continue the attack. But a spear had already shot toward him. The spear tip spun rapidly, gleaming with fierce sharpness. He had no choice but to roll aside and avoid it. Suddenly, the long spear changed direction and swept sideways. Ye Xuan could not dodge in time and could only raise both arms in front of him. Boom. The force of the spear sent him crashing into a wall. At that same moment, the remaining man leapt over and brought the blade in his hand down toward Ye Xuan's head. The blade momentum had already formed, and its power was terrifying. It followed immediately after the spear strike, leaving him with no way to evade. Ye Xuan suddenly raised both hands. Boom, his hands caught the blade. His feet were forced deep into the ground. But the fierce spear came again, aimed straight at his abdomen. Ye Xuan had no choice but to release the blade and roll across the ground. Crack, boom. Where he had stood, the saber carved a deep line into the earth, while the spear pierced through the wall behind him. Ye Xuan had just escaped the spear and saber. Before he could steady himself, he sensed a powerful force surging toward him from behind. The burly young man was coming again. The man leapt into the air and clenched his fist, smashing down toward the top of Ye Xuan's head. The black glove flickered with light, Ye Xuan's face twisted. He did not dodge but directly met the attack, still force against force. Still one punch breaks your head. This time his punch carried not only battle intent, but also a fist force that seemed ready to swallow everything. The moment the two punches collided, the burly young man staggered back several zhang. Ye Xuan was not much better. At that moment, the sound of tearing wind rang out again. His expression changed and he hurriedly threw himself to the side, but he was still too slow. Another arrow sank into his shoulder. Ye Xuan sharply looked up at the rooftop. The bow in the woman's hand had already been drawn full like the moon, and the arrowhead was aimed directly at him, ready to leave the string at any moment. She stared at him with cold eyes and was about to release the bowstring when a flash of light descended from above. Her pupils shrank. With a light tap of her foot, she leapt to another rooftop. The one who replaced her position was a woman in a landscape-patterned dress, Xianxia. Two more people appeared beside Ye Xuan, Mo Yunqi and Bai Zi, 4 against 4. Ye Xuan glanced at them and was about to attack, but Mo Yunqi raised his hand and stopped him. Wait. Seeing the others look at him, Mo Yunqi snorted. In the past, you were always the one stepping forward. Even the girls in the imperial capital only know your name. You two stay back for now. Watch me perform and solve them myself. As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed forward. The two men in the distance disappeared at the same time. 1 second of silence passed. Boom. Mo Yunqi smashed heavily into Ye Xuan and Bai Zi. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Bai Zi glanced at him. Stupid Mo, were you trying to perform how to get beaten, Mo Yunqi? Ye Xuan walked up to Mo Yunqi and pulled him up. Mo Yunqi wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, looked toward the two people in the distance and said, very strong, very strong. Ye Xuan nodded lightly. He had fought those two before. Even he did not dare say for certain that he could defeat them. There were many geniuses and monsters in this world, and Cangmu Academy had offered such generous conditions that countless people would naturally be moved. Let alone others, even Ye Xuan himself was somewhat moved. One earth-rank martial skill could buy many spirit swords. Ye Xuan did not let his thoughts wander any further. He glanced at Bai Zi and Mo Yunqi. Each of you choose one. Bai Zi turned and looked at the burly man not far away. Without another word, he quickly charged straight toward him. The burly man did not back down. He leapt up and shot toward Bai Zi. Boom, boom, boom. Before long, thunderous explosions rang out behind Ye Xuan and Mo Yunqi. Ye Xuan turned to look at Mo Yunqi. Mo Yunqi fell silent for a moment, then looked at the man holding the crescent blade not far away. The next moment, he shot out like a gust of wind. In the distance, the crescent blade man did not retreat. He leapt up and brought his blade down viciously. Boom. That slash seemed to split the air. Mo Yunqi had already appeared behind the man's. The man's reaction was also extremely fast. He spun around and slashed with his blade. On the rooftop, Xianxia leapt toward the woman in black. The woman in black repeatedly retreated like lightning. At the same time, countless arrows kept shooting toward Xianxia. Facing these arrows, Xianxia did not dare be careless. In the small alley, only Ye Xuan and the cloth-robed man had yet to enter battle. The cloth-robed man glanced at Ye Xuan and said, "We will leave the imperial capital." Ye Xuan shook his head. "If you had said that before my brothers arrived, I would have agreed, but now, it is too late." As soon as he finished speaking, Ye Xuan leapt forward with the momentum of a tiger pouncing on its prey. The man tightened his grip on the long spear. The spear trembled violently, and the ground beneath his feet began to crack. After a moment of silence, the man thrust the spear forward. Spear light flickered at the tip and an enormous force surged out. The walls on both sides of him exploded and shattered. At that very moment, a streak of sword light flashed, and the entire field suddenly fell silent. Ye Xuan had already appeared behind the black-robed man. A drop of fresh blood slowly fell from the tip of the Lianxiu Sword. Ye Xuan turned to look. Not far away, Bai Zi was still locked in fierce battle with the burly man. Both of them cultivated the body. In battle, they used their fists to strike each other's bodies directly. But it was clear that Bai Zi held the advantage. The burly man kept retreating, and cracks had already begun spreading across his body. Bai Zi, however, fought with increasing ferocity. Ye Xuan examined Bai Zi, and his heart was somewhat shocked. More accurately, he was shaken. If it was only a contest of the physical body, even though Ye Xuan had trained to the hidden realm, he would not gain much advantage against Bai Zi. If he had not cultivated the golden body realm, then relying only on his body, he might not even withstand one punch from Bai Zi. Boom. At that moment, the burly man flew several zhang backward and smashed heavily to the ground. He had just tried to stand when Bai Zi suddenly descended from the sky and stomped onto his face. Boom. The man's head sank deep into the ground. His body twitched for a moment, then fell completely still. Bai Zi took the pair of black iron gloves and the pouch from the burly man's waist, then walked over to Ye Xuan. He raised the black gloves and grinned, "Spiritual weapons." Ye Xuan nodded lightly. "They are worth at least 2 million gold coins," Bai Zi grinned. "I finally understand why you like fighting so much. In the future, remember to call me when there is a fight." Ye Xuan, a boom. At that moment, an explosion suddenly rang out in the distance. Ye Xuan and Bai Zi both looked over. Not far away, Mo Yunqi had been forced back several zhang. Seeing this, Ye Xuan frowned. He and Bai Zi were about to act, but Mo Yunqi suddenly stopped them. "You two just watch. Let me fight him myself." Ye Xuan and Bai Zi hesitated slightly, but in the end they chose not to interfere. They believed in Mo Yunqi. If this fellow could not win, he would definitely run away first. At that moment in the distance, Mo Yunqi formed a hand seal. In an instant, another figure appeared behind the blade-wielding man. That figure was Mo Yunqi. But Mo Yunqi was also still standing where he had been. Two Mo Yunqis. Ye Xuan and Bai Zi were stunned. Not only the two of them, but even the blade-wielding man was stunned. At that moment, two flashes of cold light appeared, flying knives. Two flying knives, one in front and one behind, shot straight toward the blade-wielding man at incredible speed. Even Ye Xuan and Bai Zi could not clearly see their trajectories. The blade-wielding man's pupils contracted slightly because he suddenly realized that both flying knives were real. He had no time to think. He could only sweep his blade out quickly. Boom. A half-moon blade light erupted outward, and its power forcibly stopped the two flying knives. But at that moment, another flying knife suddenly flashed out. It cut through the air. PFFT. The blade-wielding man froze where he stood. At his throat was a flying knife nearly an inch long. Ye Xuan and Bai Zi looked at Mo Yunqi. At this time, his face had become somewhat pale. Ye Xuan walked up to him. "Are you all right?" Mo Yunqi quickly straightened his body. "Do I look like I am not all right?" Ye Xuan lightly patted Mo Yunqi's shoulder. "When we get back, rest for a while." After saying this, he picked up the blade and pouch from the waist of the man who had wielded the long blade, then handed them to Mo Yunqi. "This blade is also a spiritual weapon. It is worth at least 2 million gold coins. Do you want it? If not?" Mo Yunqi stepped forward and snatched the blade and pouch away. He glared at Ye Xuan. "Why are you like a bandit, Ye Xuan? 2 million gold coins." Mo Yunqi looked at the long blade in his hand. His eyes were full of shock and admiration. One had to know that although his clan also had spiritual weapons, those were not things he could possess. Moreover, to his clan, 2 million gold coins was also a large sum of money. Mo Yunqi sighed softly. "Bandit Yi, I finally understand why you like fighting. Fighting can actually make you rich." After saying this, he glanced at Ye Xuan and added, "Next time you go fighting, remember to call me. Otherwise, you are not my brother, Ye Xuan." At that moment, the three of them raised their heads and looked toward the rooftop. Up there, Xianxia had been forced back repeatedly by an arrow. The woman in black did not continue attacking. Instead, she turned and was about to flee. Her speed was extremely fast, like a hawk. Seeing this, Ye Xuan closed his eyes and said, "Kill." As soon as he spoke, he suddenly stomped his right foot on the ground and shot upward. But he immediately fell back down. Mo Yunqi and Bai Zi looked at Ye Xuan. Ye Xuan felt somewhat embarrassed. He was still only in the Imperial Kai realm, so he naturally could not fly through the air. Bai Zi looked at Mo Yunqi. Among them, Mo Yunqi was the fastest, but Mo Yunqi shook his head. "I consumed too much just now. I cannot speed up at all." Ye Xuan nodded lightly. "It is fine." After saying this, as if thinking of something, he turned to Mo Yunqi and Bai Zi. "Why did you two come here?" Mo Yunqi said in a deep voice, "Old Jai informed us that you were being surrounded and beaten, so we came." After hesitating for a moment, he added, "Bandit Yi, to be honest. Although your current strength is only slightly inferior to mine, you should know how many people want to kill you right now. Next time you want to go down the mountain, remember to call the three of us. With more people, it will be a little safer." Ye Xuan, Bai Zi glanced at Mo Yunqi. "You two are both shameless." He had already known that Ye Xuan's skin was thick. But now it seemed that Mo Yunqi's skin was no thinner. Mo Yunqi glared at Bai Zi. "People like you never live long in chivalrous novels." Bai Zi glared back. "Do you believe I will send you flying?" Mo Yunqi retreated several zhang and waved at Bai Zi. "Come then, come at me." The corner of Bai Zi's eye twitched. He no longer looked at Mo Yunqi and said to Ye Xuan, "Let us go back." Ye Xuan nodded lightly. He looked up at the rooftop and called, "Jai Foodie." "No, great beauty Jai, let us go, Jai Foodie." Xianxia looked at Ye Xuan, her expression unfriendly. Ye Xuan thought, this is bad. He hurriedly pointed at Mo Yunqi not far away and shifted the blame. He said it. He said you were a foodie. Mo Yunqi froze. Ye Xuan turned and asked Bai Zi. It was stupid Mo who said it, right? Bai Zi looked at Ye Xuan. Ye Xuan silently mouthed, "Do you want dinner?" Only his lips moved. No sound came out. Clearly Bai Zi understood. He turned to Mo Yunqi not far away and confirmed it was him. Whoa, whoa, Mo Yunqi jumped up. At that moment, a saber light suddenly descended from the sky, heading straight for him. Mo Yunqi's expression changed. He turned and ran. "You two bastards." Bai Zi, standing beside Ye Xuan, suddenly said, "Tonight I want roast chicken." Ye Xuan nodded, "No problem." Just like that, the two of them walked shoulder to shoulder into the distance. Before long, the two arrived at a forest. Passing through this forest would take them to the foot of Cangmu Mountain. At that moment, two explosions suddenly rang out from within the forest. Two figures flew out from inside. They were Mo Yunqi and Xianxia. At this time, blood leaked from the corners of both their mouths. Two arrows were stuck in Xianxia's shoulders, while one arrow was lodged in Mo Yunqi's right thigh. Neither of them had a powerful body like Bai Zi, so the arrows had pierced through them. Seeing this, the expressions of Ye Xuan and Bai Zi changed. They hurried forward. At that very moment, a man and a woman walked out from the forest. The woman was the same black-clothed woman from earlier. The man was about 20 years old. He wore a long robe as black as ink, and a small black snake was draped over his shoulder. Mo Yunqi, standing beside Ye Xuan, said cautiously, "Be careful. That man is very strong." Ye Xuan raised his head and looked at the man not far away. The man grinned. Ning Kingdom, chief inner court student of Cangmu Academy, Feng Yixiu. Ranked 19th on Qingzhu's martial ranking. Ye Xuan slowly walked toward the man. A sword silently appeared in his hand. Ye Xuan looked straight at Feng Yixiu. Ning Kingdom, Cangmu Academy, Ye Xuan. Ranked first on Qingzhu's martial ranking. Behind Ye Xuan, Mo Yunqi froze and asked, "Bandit Yi, since when are you ranked first?" Ye Xuan answered without turning his head, "Ranked first from the bottom. Is that not allowed?" As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly accelerated faster and faster. Mo Yunqi, martial ranking. Ye Xuan had heard of this name before. It was said to be a ranking list in Qingzhou. As for who created it, no one knew. He only knew that those who could appear on the ranking were the top monsters of Qingzhou. In all of Ning Kingdom, there was only one person on the list, and Lianxiu. Ye Xuan did not underestimate Feng Yixiu before him, but he was not afraid of him either. Ye Xuan's speed grew faster and faster, and the Lianxiu sword in his hand trembled violently. Opposite him, the corner of Feng Yixiu's mouth curved upward, and his gaze gradually grew solemn. He did not underestimate Ye Xuan either. Could someone Cangmu Academy was willing to pay such a huge price to kill be an ordinary person? Anyone who could enter the martial ranking was not weak in strength or intelligence. On the contrary, those who could appear on the list had experienced countless battles. They understood very clearly how foolish it was to underestimate an opponent during a fight. If one wanted to look down on the enemy, that was fine. But only after the enemy was dead. The black-clothed woman beside Feng Yixiu raised her bow and nocked an arrow, aiming at Ye Xuan. At that moment, Feng Yixiu pressed down the longbow in her hand with his right hand. "I will handle this myself." After saying this, he looked at Ye Xuan before him. Now, Ye Xuan was only several zhang away from Feng Yixiu. At that moment, a terrifying momentum suddenly enveloped Feng Yixiu's entire body. Sword momentum. At this moment, Ye Xuan gave others the feeling that he himself was a sword capable of piercing the sky. The eyes of the black-clothed woman beside Feng Yixiu were filled with disbelief. Sword momentum should not appear on someone who had only reached the Imperial Kai realm. Feng Yixiu's expression remained calm. His right palm suddenly opened. In the next instant, a strange white vortex appeared around his hand. At this moment, the ground beneath his feet twisted and blurred. Ye Xuan arrived. His sword came down. One sword decides life and death. This strike seemed capable of shattering the earth, and the sword momentum was tyrannical beyond measure. At that moment, Feng Yixiu lightly lifted his right hand. In an instant, the white vortex in his palm swallowed Ye Xuan's sword. Boom. With the two men at the center, the ground within several dozen zhang shook violently, then shattered apart. At the same time, both of them rapidly retreated several dozen zhang. Between them, a deep trench half a zhang wide appeared. The surroundings had been thrown into complete chaos. Ye Xuan looked at the Lianxiu sword in his hand, then raised his head and looked at Feng Yixiu not far away. Nether Passage Realm. The strength of the person before him was not Skysoar Realm at all. It was Nether Passage Realm. A 20-year-old Nether Passage Realm expert. In the distance, Feng Yixiu glanced at his right arm. His entire right arm had cracked. If he had dared underestimate Ye Xuan just now and not used his full strength, then that sword strike might not have killed him. But it would definitely have seriously injured him. Feng Yixiu raised his head and looked at Ye Xuan. As expected of a sword cultivator. Only at the Imperial Kai realm, yet you already possess such terrifying combat power. You truly surprised me. Ye Xuan said nothing. He charged straight toward Feng Yixiu with his sword again. Since the beginning when he fought, he had never liked wasting words. This was a battle of life and death, not a game. What meaning was there in saying so much? None. Winning was what mattered most. Ye Xuan's speed was very fast, growing faster and faster. The Lianxiu sword in his hand trembled violently, and sharp sword light radiated from the blade. Feng Yixiu slowly closed both eyes. An invisible pressure appeared around him. The pressure of a Nether Passage Realm expert. At the same time, the ground beneath his feet shook violently. Countless pieces of broken stone suddenly gathered before him. His right palm pressed downward as he said softly, "Earth chant." The moment his words fell, boom. The ground beneath Feng Yixiu trembled violently. In the blink of an eye, the entire area seemed to be lifted up. The earth rose like a tornado and swept directly toward Ye Xuan. Not far away when Bai Zi and the others saw this, their expressions immediately changed. This martial skill carried a trace of the power of heaven and earth. In other words, Feng Yixiu was at least using an earth-rank martial skill. A Nether Passage Realm expert using an earth-rank martial skill. Its terror was difficult to describe. At that moment, a sword cry rang through the field. Immediately after, a streak of sword light descended from afar. Boom. A heaven-shaking explosion rang out. Amid the flying earth and stone, two figures appeared and continuously retreated. They were Ye Xuan and Feng Yixiu. As he retreated, Ye Xuan suddenly released the Lianxiu Sword in his right hand. The sword transformed into a streak of sword light and slashed forward. Opposite Ye Xuan, Feng Yixiu turned his right palm downward, then flipped it upward. Boom. In an instant, countless broken stones gathered together, blocking Ye Xuan's sword. But his entire body was still shaken and sent several zhang backward. The moment he stopped, Ye Xuan had already appeared before him. Feng Yixiu's right foot suddenly stomped the ground and his body shot outward. Boom. The two separated the moment they collided and returned to their original positions. The moment Ye Xuan touched down, the ground shattered beneath him. He raised his head and looked at Feng Yixiu, his expression extremely calm. Nether Passage Realm. There was an enormous gap between the Skysoar Realm and the Nether Passage Realm. Reaching the Nether Passage Realm did not merely mean one could fly through the air. One could also grasp a trace of spatial power. If one could master that trace of spatial power, it would greatly assist one's own strength. The clearest point was that when using martial skills, one could bring the power of Earth-rank martial skills to their greatest extent. Because certain martial skills required the user's own strength to support them. This was especially true for Earth-rank martial skills. If one's own strength was insufficient, one could not bring out the power of such techniques at all. Moreover, even if one forced the technique out, the backlash would be severe. As for Feng Yixiu before him, although he was in the Nether Passage Realm, he had clearly only just entered it. His use of spatial power was not yet skillful. If the opponent had truly mastered spatial power. Thinking of this, Ye Xuan's expression grew serious. He had never been blindly arrogant, nor would he lose himself. He would clearly analyze both his own strengths and weaknesses and those of his opponent, increase his realm. Right now, Ye Xuan deeply sensed that his own realm was far too low. If he could not quickly reach the Skysoar Realm, then if he encountered Nether Passage Realm opponents in the future, he might not even have the strength to fight. Opposite Ye Xuan, Feng Yixiu's expression was also extremely grave, because Ye Xuan's combat power had completely exceeded his expectations. From the very beginning, Feng Yixiu had not hidden his strength at all. He had even used an Earth-rank martial skill in the first exchange. But even then, he still could not do anything to Ye Xuan. And Ye Xuan was only in the Imperial Kai realm. If Ye Xuan reached the Skysoar Realm or even the Nether Passage Realm. Thinking of this, Feng Yixiu slowly loosened his clenched fists. Killing intent, it had indeed appeared. But only for a single instant, because there was no deep hatred between him and Ye Xuan. If there was no deep hatred with such a person, why become mortal enemies? Feng Yixiu turned his head and looked toward a certain direction. An old man holding a walking stick had quietly appeared there. The moment they saw this old man, the expressions of Ye Xuan and the others immediately changed. This old man was very likely on the same level as old Jai. The cane-holding old man walked before Ye Xuan and examined him. A complicated look appeared in his eyes. I heard that you once wanted to join Cangmu Academy of Ning Kingdom. Is that true? Ye Xuan nodded. They did not want you, the old man asked. Ye Xuan nodded again. The cane-holding old man shook his head and sighed. They truly are a group of fools. After saying this, he turned to Feng Yixiu not far away. As the saying goes, one does not know another without fighting. How about everyone become friends? Ye Xuan was silent. The cane-holding old man smiled. I know my disciple injured your friends. As he spoke, he suddenly flicked his finger. Two white jade bottles appeared before Mo Yunqi and Jai Anjai. At the same time, a golden flying knife appeared before Mo Yunqi, while before Jai Anjai appeared a long saber blazing with flames. Two top-grade spiritual weapons. Mo Yunqi and Jai Anjai were both stunned. The cane-holding old man smiled gently. Inside the bottles are high-grade golden wound pills. Their market value should be about 300,000 gold coins per pill. Each bottle contains 5 pills. As for that golden flying knife, it is a top-grade spiritual weapon I obtained by chance. The long saber is called Scarlet Flame. It is also a top-grade spiritual weapon. If these two have the right opportunity, they may even be able to raise these top-grade spiritual weapons to the bright rank. Hearing this, Xianxia immediately accepted the white jade bottle and scarlet flame. Especially Scarlet Flame, her eyes clearly revealed her fondness for the saber. Mo Yunqi also hurriedly put away the white jade bottle and the flying knife. Looking at the golden flying knife in his hand, he smiled so widely he could not close his mouth. A top-grade spiritual weapon. He had never even touched one before. Bai Zi glanced at Mo Yunqi, his eyes full of disdain. How promising. In the distance, Ye Xuan looked toward the cane-holding old man. Why? The old man smiled. We only wish to befriend you all. Ye Xuan was silent. The old man's smile remained. If you feel this is inappropriate, there is no problem. If there is a chance another day, you and my disciple may become friends. Ye Xuan shook his head. That is not it. It is only. At this point, he glanced at Mo Yunqi and Xianxia not far away, then said, why do they get gifts while I get nothing? The cane-holding old man's expression stiffened. Very soon he laughed heartily. Then he flicked his finger and a sword hovered before Ye Xuan, a top-grade spirit sword. Ye Xuan hurriedly put the sword away. He was just about to say something when Bai Zi not far away suddenly spoke. What about me, Ye Xuan? Mo Yunqi glanced at Bai Zi, a cold smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. How promising. The cane-holding old man glanced at Bai Zi. After hesitating for a few breaths, he said, this young friend cultivates the body. And this old man does not have anything especially suitable for you. How about this? I will give you another bottle of pills. After saying this, he flicked his finger and a white jade bottle appeared before Bai Zi. Bai Zi did not refuse. He put the bottle away. This thing was worth a lot of money. The cane-holding old man looked at Ye Xuan and smiled. Then the three of us shall take our leave first. If you have time, please come to Chu Kingdom as guests. After saying this, he glanced to the right, then turned and led Feng Yixiu and the black-clothed woman away. They soon vanished into the distance. Ye Xuan quickly called after them, come often in the future. Somewhere in the sky, the cane-holding old man's body trembled slightly. In midair, Feng Yixiu suddenly asked, Master, why spend so much? The cane-holding old man answered calmly, you underestimated Ye Xuan. But did I not also underestimate that old man? Hearing this, Feng Yixiu immediately understood. Then, as if thinking of something, he said, they are too poor. And their faces are too thick. At the foot of Cangmu Mountain, Ye Xuan and the others were all grinning with joy, unable to close their mouths. All four of them had gained greatly. Poor, there was no doubt about it. All four of them were very poor. Right now, Cangmu Academy had no cultivation resources at all. Forget cultivation resources, even food had to be dealt with by themselves. As for spiritual weapons, they could forget about that. Top-grade spiritual weapons were even more impossible. At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly put away his sword and looked at Xianxia and the others. All of you come here. The four of them gathered together. Ye Xuan looked at Xianxia and Mo Yunqi. Are your injuries serious? Both shook their heads. Mo Yunqi said only flesh wounds, nothing too serious. Ye Xuan nodded lightly, then signaled for everyone to sit. The four sat on the ground. Xianxia and the others looked at Ye Xuan, waiting for him to continue. Ye Xuan thought for a moment, then said in a deep voice, we won the battle in the alley, but in that battle just now we did not win. Xianxia and the others fell silent. Ye Xuan looked at the three of them. After the battle in the alley and the battle just now, I believe the students of Cangmu Academy now have a rough understanding of our strength. In other words, the enemies we face from now on will be stronger and more numerous. Mo Yunqi grinned, not afraid, we fight, that is all. Ye Xuan looked at him, what if we cannot win? Mo Yunqi fell silent. Ye Xuan said softly, our opponents will become stronger and stronger. There may even be geniuses and monsters we cannot imagine, perhaps even people on Miss and S level. Hearing this, the expressions of Mo Yunqi and the others gradually turned serious. Because this was entirely possible. The reward Cangmu Academy was offering was truly tempting. Under heavy reward, many supreme monsters would definitely appear. Feng Yixiu from earlier was the clearest example. He was someone on the martial ranking. And Feng Yixiu was only near the bottom of that list. What if monsters ranked near the top came? At this moment, all four of them felt heavy pressure. Ye Xuan continued, there is one more thing. Cangmu Academy may very well use other despicable methods. The situation between us and them can now be described as this: either we die or they die. Therefore, they definitely will not give up. After saying this, he stood. Everyone, it can be said that we have now reached a dead end, a true dead end. We have no way back, and ahead of us, there may not be any road either. Old Jai is very good at fighting, but he cannot fight many people. If we want to survive, we can only rely on ourselves. Squeeze yourselves dry. After saying this, he turned and left. Mo Yunqi muttered where he sat, this fellow has made me feel pressure as heavy as a mountain again. Bai Zi said nothing. He stood and walked up the mountains. But after only a moment, he stopped and looked at Mo Yunqi. If you are killed, I will give you a proper burial. Mo Yunqi, Kanglin Hall. The moment Ye Xuan arrived before Kanglin Hall, he saw Ye Lian. Ye Lian walked up to him and hugged him tightly. She said nothing. She had witnessed the battle between Ye Xuan and Feng Yixiu earlier. Although she did not fully understand the situation Ye Xuan and the others were in, she knew a little. Many more people would come looking for trouble with her brother. Ye Xuan gently stroked Ye Lian's head and smiled. I am fine. Ye Lian held him tightly and said nothing, but her eyes gradually became icy cold. Half an hour later, Ye Xuan returned to his room. After closing the door firmly, he entered the World Prison Tower. Ye Xuan sat cross-legged on the ground. Before him lay 3 spirit swords. Ye Xuan slowly closed his eyes and silently circulated the invincible sword body art. A while later, his right hand gently pointed forward. One spirit sword before him transformed into a streak of light and entered his chest. Ye Xuan's entire body trembled violently. Inside him, the Lianxiu Sword suddenly shook. Before long, this spirit sword turned into countless streams of energy that gathered toward the Lianxiu Sword. At this moment, sharp, dazzling sword light radiated around Ye Xuan's body. At this moment, it was as if he himself had become a sword. Time slowly passed. His body trembled more and more violently, and the aura around him grew stronger and stronger. About an hour later, Ye Xuan pointed lightly again. Another spirit sword before him entered his chest. Boom. A powerful wave of sword light suddenly erupted around his body. This sword light spread outward in all directions. But the moment it touched the walls of the World Prison Tower, it immediately vanished without a trace. Inside Ye Xuan's body, the Lianxiu Sword was trembling continuously, absorbing. To put it more simply, devouring. The Lianxiu Sword itself did not possess this ability. But Ye Xuan used his own cultivation method to grant it this ability. In other words, it could devour other swords to strengthen itself. And right now, it was Ye Xuan's stanchion. When it grew stronger, Ye Xuan could use it to break through. It could be said that Ye Xuan's method of cultivation was extremely special. If it spread outside, it would certainly cause a massive storm. At that moment, the sword before Ye Xuan suddenly rose, then transformed into a streak of sword light and vanished into his chest. Boom. A wave of sword light surged outward from within his body like ripples. At the same time, the Lianxiu Sword inside him suddenly shot into the sky. Boom. A powerful aura appeared around Ye Xuan. Skysoar Realm, Ye Xuan opened his eyes. Faint sword light flickered within them but quickly vanished. Invincible sword body art. Use the body to forge a sword. Ye Xuan took a deep breath. At this moment, he felt his entire body filled with power. He raised his head and looked at the Lianxiu Sword. With a light wave of his right hand, the sword flew directly into his grasp. The instant he held it, the blade trembled and released a clear, piercing sword cry. High-grade bright sword. Bright swords were divided into 3 small levels: low-grade, high-grade, and top-grade. After absorbing 3 spirit swords, not only had Ye Xuan reached the Skysoar Realm, the Lianxiu Sword had also reached high-grade bright sword. Both had risen together. Now that he had reached the Skysoar Realm, his overall strength had increased by a large margin. On top of that, his sword had improved as well. If he faced Feng Yixiu now, he was 60 to 70% certain he could kill him. The reason he was not completely certain was because Feng Yixiu would certainly have trump cards. Monstrous geniuses like that would definitely have killing moves. As if thinking of something, Ye Xuan suddenly raised his head and looked toward the entrance to the second floor. Then he snorted twice. Smack. At that moment, a crisp slap rang out. Ye Xuan's entire body flew backward and was blasted straight out of the world prison tower. In reality, Ye Xuan lay sprawled on the ground, his body trembling continuously. Only after a long while did he stand up. Ye Xuan rubbed his face and shook his head with a bitter smile. He had thought that after reaching the Skysoar Realm, he could at least withstand 2 moves. But reality told him that he was still only a little brother, he could not provoke it. After tidying himself up a little, Ye Xuan left his room and headed for the back mountain. He arrived at the top of the large mountain where he usually cultivated. This time he made his way up the peak by walking through the air. No, more accurately by flying Skysoar Realm. Now he could gather Kai and fly through the air. Of course, his goal was not ordinary flight. As a sword cultivator, flying by sword was the proper style, sword flight. He had been looking forward to this for a very long time. Before long, Ye Xuan reached the mountain peak. Looking down from the peak, the height was at least more than 20 zhang. A bit high, Ye Xuan hesitated. If he jumped down and failed to control the sword, what was he supposed to do? In the end, he did not choose to jump. With a thought, the Lianxiu Sword flew out from within him and hovered before him. Under his control, the Lianxiu Sword floated beneath his feet. Then he stood on the blade. But the Lianxiu Sword could not support his weight and immediately fell to the ground. Seeing this, Ye Xuan frowned. Something seems wrong. Because he discovered that the sword could not bear his weight, what should he do? Ye Xuan frowned. Right now, he really wanted to ask the mysterious woman, because she would definitely be able to answer his questions. Unfortunately, the mysterious woman was still asleep, and the one on the second floor was not something he wanted to provoke. That fellow slapped him whenever it felt like it. Now he could only rely on himself. At the peak of the mountain, Ye Xuan stared at the Lianxiu Sword in his hand for a long time. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. A sword can split stone and open mountains. With such power, how could it not support the weight of a person? Thinking of this, it was as if he had discovered a new horizon. Countless thoughts flooded his mind. If he wanted to fly by sword, he had to make the sword stronger. Ye Xuan held the Lianxiu Sword in his hand. The sword trembled violently, and before long, sharp, dazzling sword light radiated from the blade. His right hand slowly released the sword, but he did not sever his connection with it. On the contrary, he tried to urge the Lianxiu Sword more strongly. After a while, his body slowly rose. Very soon, both his feet stepped onto the Lianxiu Sword. The Lianxiu Sword sank slightly, but it did not fall to the ground. It supported his body. Seeing this, Ye Xuan was overjoyed. There was hope. He hurriedly calmed himself. Before long, he used the method of controlling the sword with Kai to control the Lianxiu Sword beneath his feet. The sword began to tremble violently, but it slowly moved forward. When he saw this, the corner of Ye Xuan's mouth gradually rose. Not long after, that curve grew wider and wider. Just like that, Ye Xuan stood on the Lianxiu Sword and slowly glided into the distance. Very slowly, extremely slowly. Even slower than normal walking. But in truth, he was indeed moving by controlling the sword. Not long after, Ye Xuan rode the sword to a waterfall. The distance was less than 100 zhang, but it took him half an hour to reach it. Moreover, the Lianxiu Sword was very close to the ground, not even as high as an adult. Beneath the waterfall, Bai Zi, who was cultivating, suddenly raised his head and looked at Ye Xuan not far away. He said in surprise, "Bandit Ye, you." Ye Xuan placed both hands behind his back. He glanced at Bai Zi beneath the waterfall with the air of someone looking down upon the world. "From now on, please call me Sword Immortal Ye. Thank you, Bai Zi." Ye Xuan controlled the sword and turned away, but his current speed was simply too slow. Too slow, ridiculously slow. It was like a turtle crawling. Behind Ye Xuan, Bai Zi stared blankly at the scene, sword flight. Ye Xuan was indeed flying by controlling the sword, but something about it seemed very strange. Before long, Ye Xuan rode the sword to the front of a forest. At that moment, the person running wildly nearby suddenly stopped. It was Mo Yunqi, who was in the middle of intense training. Mo Yunqi looked at Ye Xuan riding the sword in the distance, his face filled with shock. Bandit Ye. What kind of ghost trick are you doing? Ye Xuan placed both hands behind his back and glanced at Mo Yunqi. Please call me Sword Immortal Ye, thank you. After saying this, he rode the sword into the distance. Mo Yunqi stared with his eyes wide and his mouth open for a long time before finally coming back to himself. This guy. No one knew how long it took before Ye Xuan rode the sword to old Jai's residence. Unfortunately, he could not fly over the wall because the distance between his sword and the ground was truly too low. So Ye Xuan simply rode the sword through the main gate. Old Jai was lying on a chair, as usual, his entire body reeking of alcohol. At that moment, Old Jai suddenly opened his eyes and looked toward Ye Xuan. Ye Xuan hurriedly straightened his body, clasped both hands behind his back and glanced at Old Jai. Old Jai, from now on, please call me Sword Immortal Ye, PFFT. Old Jai suddenly spat out a mouthful of wine. He looked at Ye Xuan, then flicked his finger. A gold coin fell in front of Ye Xuan. Hurry and find a doctor to examine you. Do not delay, Ye Xuan. 1 hour later, Ye Xuan sat on the stone steps in front of Kanglin Hall. Before him, the Lianxiu Sword hovered quietly. Looking at the Lianxiu Sword before him, Ye Xuan felt deeply depressed. Right now, he could indeed control the sword and ride it, but he could not increase his speed at all. Not only that, he felt that riding the sword consumed an enormous amount of effort. There must be something wrong somewhere. But the question was, where was the problem? He was full of doubts and had no way to answer them. After a while, Ye Xuan stopped thinking about it and began cultivating the sword control art. Under his control, the Lianxiu Sword constantly flew and circled above his head. Its speed was very fast, at least much faster than before. Not only that, his control over it was now far smoother. Against enemies, the power of the sword control art was not small. It could be said to be extremely effective. Unfortunately, he always felt that something was lacking somewhere. He could not clearly say what it was. Asking Old Jai was useless, because Old Jai did not understand at all, or rather, Old Jai did not want to guide him in the sword Tao. This made Ye Xuan extremely depressed. And the mysterious woman still had not awakened. He did not know who he could ask, he could only think alone. In the forest behind the mountain, Ye Xuan sat cross-legged on the ground. A sword continuously flew, stabbed, and slashed through the field. Every time the Lianxiu Sword flew past, a large tree would be cut in half. Occasionally, Mo Yunqi would come to the forest to fight him. However, every time Mo Yunqi was about to lose, he would immediately slip away. Just like that, day after day passed. One morning, inside old Jai's residence, an old man suddenly appeared. The newcomer was Ye Xuan, the head of Cangmu Academy. Old Jai lay on his chair, still drunk as usual, without the slightest intention of waking. Ye Xuan looked at Old Jai and smiled. Old Jai, it seems you have not been living too comfortably during this time. Old Jai said indifferently, say what you came to say. Ye Xuan was not angry. He glanced toward the back mountain and smiled. Someone has discovered an unknown secret realm in the Jade Mountain range of Ning Kingdom's imperial capital. It is very possible that the owner of that secret realm was Chuoba Fu, the former #1 expert of Ning Kingdom. You should know that back then, Chuoba Fu broke through the 10,000 Dharma realm. There must be many good things inside that secret realm. This time, Ning Kingdom has opened the secret realm to the surrounding countries. As long as one is under 20 and at the Skysoar Realm, one may participate. What do you think? Will Cangmu Academy not join? We will not, Old Jai said decisively. Ye Xuan smiled, not join, you will definitely join. At that moment, Old Jai's eyes suddenly widened. His body was about to vanish from where he lay, but Ye Xuan standing before him suddenly slapped his palm forward. Boom. In an instant, the entire house collapsed with a roar. On the back mountain, the expressions of Ye Xuan and the others changed, and they hurried toward Kanglin Hall. Above a pile of ruins, Ye Xuan and Old Jai stood facing each other. Behind Ye Xuan stood a black-clothed person. In that person's hand was a girl, that girl was Ye Lian. Lianxiu looked coldly at old Jai and smiled. Tell Ye Xuan that if he does not participate, then let his sister die inside the secret realm. After saying this, he and the black-clothed person turned to leave. At that moment, an enraged roar suddenly came from below. Old dogs, let go of my sister. The moment that voice rang out, a streak of sword light shot into the sky and slashed toward Lianxiu. In midair, a mocking smile appeared at the corner of Lianxiu's mouth. His right hand pressed down lightly, boom. The streak of sword light shattered. At the same time, a sword stabbed straight down toward Ye Xuan below. Old Jai suddenly appeared before Ye Xuan. His right hand stretched out, and the power within the sword was completely dissolved. Immediately after, he waved his right hand, and the Lianxiu Sword landed steadily before Ye Xuan. Ye Xuan was about to attack again, but Old Jai stopped him. Old Jai stared at Lianxiu in midair. It seems that in order to kill him, your Cangmu Academy no longer wants any face. You sent two 10,000 Dharma Realm experts to abduct an unarmed little girl. Face. The corner of Lianxiu's mouth lifted into a mocking smile. Back then, if your Cangmu Academy had been more decisive and killed Headgu, how could you have declined to this state? Old Jai slowly clenched both hands. If you dare touch that girl, this old man will definitely slaughter every student of your Cangmu Academy. Lianxiu laughed coldly. If you dare act, the girl will definitely die. After saying this, he pointed toward Ye Xuan. I believe he will not let you act, will he? Ye Xuan stared fixedly at Lianxiu. Old dogs, you are still the head of an academy. If you have a problem, can you not come looking for me directly? Lianxiu shook his head and laughed. Face, how much is it worth? This old man only knows that if you do not die, Cangmu Academy will not only lose face in the future, but also its 1,000-year foundation. After saying this, he looked coldly at old Jai. Do not worry, I will not hurt the girl. I will only throw her into the secret realm. But if you dare act, she will definitely die. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned and disappeared into the horizon together with the black-clothed person. Ye Xuan wanted to chase them, but old Jai stopped him. Ye Xuan looked at old Jai with blood-red eyes. Old Jai said in a low voice, you cannot catch them. Ye Xuan clenched both fists tightly. His entire body was trembling. Old Jai looked at him. This is a trap. Ye Xuan looked up at the distant sky. I know. Old Jai said, it is a trap prepared for you. Once you enter that secret realm, the people waiting inside will definitely not be ordinary students. Cangmu Academy will use every method possible to kill you there. Ye Xuan stared into the sky. I know. Old Jai said in a deep voice, and if you go, even I may not be able to protect you. Ye Xuan suddenly turned to look at him. Old Jai, if the person they captured today were your granddaughter, would you go? Old Jai fell silent. Ye Xuan said softly, to me, Ye Lian is more important than my own life. I know this is a trap, I know I may die, but I must go. After saying this, he turned and walked toward Canglan Hall. Mo Yunqi and Bai Zi hurriedly followed him. Old Jai suddenly said, where are you two going? Mo Yunqi stopped and thought for a moment, then gave a bitter smile. I know that place is a dead end. That is exactly why we have to go. After saying this, he strode away and vanished into the distance. Bai Zi quickly followed him. Old Jai stood where he was and looked toward Jai Anjai. Jai Anjai said softly, take care. After saying this, she turned and entered Canglan Hall. A while later, she came out carrying a large bag and headed down the mountain. Among the ruins, old Jai remained silent for a long time. Then he walked to a hall behind the mountains. Inside the small hall were spirit tablets, many of them, perhaps more than 1,000. Old Jai looked at those tablets. At this moment, he did not look drunk at all. No one knew how long passed before he suddenly lay down on the ground. Then he grabbed the wine gourd at his waist and poured wine madly into his mouth. It is all because this headmaster was useless. I could not protect you. Several minutes later, old Jai suddenly left Canglan Mountain. No one knew where he went. Ning Kingdom's Imperial Palace. Inside a dark hole, an old man sat on the ground, playing with a small black dog. At that moment, a middle-aged man appeared at the entrance of the hall. The man bowed toward the inside and said something unknown. A while later, the old man in the hall suddenly said, "Cangmu Academy, truly despicable." The middle-aged man said in a deep voice, "That young man has already gone to Ning Kingdom." The old man was silent for a long time, then said, "Investigate who the black-clothed person who acted that night was. Also send shadow guards to escort that young man for part of the journey. Forget it. I will personally escort him for a distance. After all, he is a courageous person, someone who dares fight for Jiang Kingdom." As soon as he finished speaking, the old man vanished from where he stood. Inside a certain room in Drunken Immortal Tower, a black-clothed person suddenly appeared and bowed to the old man before him. A while later, the old man laughed coldly. "Excellent Cangmu Academy. You truly do not know what it means to court death. Pass down the order. Use all our strength to investigate the black-clothed person who acted tonight. Also send people to escort that young man to Ning Kingdom. Forget it. This old man will personally make the trip." The black-clothed person said in a deep voice, "Tower Master, do you intend to openly choose a side?" The old man replied calmly, "Yes." This time, this old man chooses to stand on Cangmu Academy's side. After all, adding flowers to brocade can never compare to sending charcoal in the snow. After saying this, he vanished from the room, 2 realms mountain. A man suddenly appeared before a thatched hut. He knelt on one knee. "Honored master, that little girl has been abducted by Cangmu Academy." A short while later, the thatched hut exploded with a roar. A little girl walked out from within, her face pale with rage. "Cangmu Academy, what piece of trash is that? If anything happens to that girl, this honored one will certainly slaughter every student of Cangmu Academy."